in addition to ethics reform, another big topic will be elections reform, because we had, once again, Florida in the national spotlight with long lines coming out of polls and charges of voter suppression from Democrats largely. So the Secretary of State has been around the state talking with election supervisors, has a big report with some new recommendations. That's going to be a big deal this year.
Yeah, and this fits in with the earlier theme of areas where Governor Rick Scott has changed his opinion from one thing to another. Although this is also an area where I think the legislature has made a genuine shift. Maybe genuine is not the right word. They have made a calculated shift for some reason or other that maybe it's not a good idea, for example, to reduce the number of early voting days. And I think they realized early voting is popular. They also probably looked at the last election and said, well, we reduced the number of early voting days, and as Republicans, we still lost. So, I mean, what's the difference? We may as well do what's popular. And this is one of the few areas that where I think we've seen a very short-term, wholesale shift in the way legislative leaders and the governor in this case look at an issue. 2 years ago, before the last presidential election, I mean, there was a concerted effort that some would deny, but I mean, I think it's very difficult to deny, in an effort, they would say, to crack down on fraud, to make it a little bit more difficult to vote, to go through certain procedures that I think many of them would say, look, everybody ought to go through these procedures. This is not, this is not curtailing your rights. This is creating order out of chaos. You got to do certain things to vote. And they made it harder and harder, and now we're swinging back the other way. I think they're going to, I think it looks like the legislature is actually going to pass a bill that makes it easier to vote, which would be going back in a different direction from the direction we've gone for the last several years.
Literally almost in 1 year.
Yeah, a change in 1 year. And Governor Scott will go along with that.
I think, Steve, the perception of suppression actually resulted in igniting the Obama base in Florida.
Yes.
Could have had a backfire.
Totally backfired.